Zoe McNulty is one of around 20,000 people in Northern Ireland thought to have some form of long COVID. But what is this illness? Scientists are still trying to establish a clinical definition. But for now, the UK guidelines define it as a condition that develops during or after the initial infection, that lasts for more than 12 weeks, and its symptoms can't be explained by an alternative diagnosis. So far, the illness has had more than 200 potential symptoms linked to it. Professor Sir Terence Stevenson is carrying out research into long COVID. He hopes the number of recognised symptoms can be narrowed down, but so much about the illness is still unknown.
If we think of other viruses that are well recognised to cause persisting problems like glandular fever, like hepatitis, they affect relatively small numbers of people. It's the size of the problem that's different this time.
A recent UK survey found more than 1 in 10 people were self-reporting with long COVID symptoms, 12 weeks after first being infected with COVID. And 1 in 4 of this group said they were still experiencing symptoms at least a year later. 2/3 reported the condition was impacting on their ability to carry out day-to-day activities. There is still no answer to what causes the condition. Many who've developed long COVID didn't have a serious form of coronavirus and weren't hospitalised.
Well, long COVID is serious because, irrespective of being unable to pin down the exact cause, it can be very disabling. It's a really, really chronic, debilitating illness that will wear people down.
While COVID itself can be serious and deadly, one of the most worrying aspects of long COVID is the way it can physically devastate and change the lives of very fit, active, healthy people. One of the striking things about long COVID is how ill people can be while outwardly looking well. However, spend some time with sufferers and you start to notice the signs, like the crippling tiredness and a vacant stare that appears in some people's eyes, even after only very small amounts of exertion. It's not known how long this condition may last for some.
I think that's impossible to answer at the moment. What proportion will gradually get better, and what proportion are left with an ongoing residual illness that goes on and on and on? I think it's just too early. You can't read the end of the book yet. We need to let the pages turn.
It's not only adults that are suffering. As a paediatrician at Great Ormond Street Institute of Child Health in London, Sir Terence Stevenson is leading the largest study in the world to date into long COVID in children. It will continue for 2 years, but the first findings have just been published.
Somewhere between probably 1 in 7 and 1 in 14 young people who've had the COVID virus might be left with persisting symptoms. There could be as many as 30,000 teenagers in England. Now, that's not a trivial number, and some of those will be very severely affected.